Take a girl and a guy, and they fall madly in love and form a family. Sprinkle in some counseling degrees and a doctorate, a dream of transforming relationships as we know it. And 20 years later, we give you power couple Dr. Ray and Jean Kadkodian. And this is their podcast, Couples Synergy.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean. Hi, I'm Dr. Ray.
And I'm Jean, and this is our podcast about love, marriage, and relationships.
Please check us out online at couplesynergy.com or on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn at Couple Synergy. And please subscribe to our podcast. Leave us a review or send us any suggestions on topics you'd like to hear more about. And now on to Couple Synergy, an in-depth look at love, marriage, and relationships, where we bring you our experience helping thousands of couples transform their relationships for over 20 years.
You know, everyone says you should work on your relationship, but nobody teaches us how. So we've created this podcast to teach people what they can do to create the relationship they've always dreamed of
with the partner they fell in love with. On today's episode, we are talking about feelings and how people are not responsible for your feelings. They're not.
You should make me happy.
Yeah, right. But before we get into that topic, I just wanted to read one of the reviews that just came in. It says, love it the first time listening. It was definitely what I needed at this time, and I'll definitely continue listening. Thank you so much for your review. We really appreciate that. We love getting reviews because it gives us an understanding of what you want to hear out there, what kind of topics you want us to talk about. Because there's no short supply of relationship topics out there. That's for sure.
Absolutely. There is a lot of bad information.
There is a lot of bad information. And, you know, a lot of the information that we talk about, it comes from our 20 plus years of experience in helping couples. And, you know, speaking of which, I wanted to just kind of let everybody know about the weekend intensive that's coming up.
Yes.
That is April 20th to 23rd. That is this year, 2023. And, you know, if you're a first-time listener or if you've been listening a while, we talk about the Weekend Intensive and how it is such an amazing transformation for couples. And we limit it because we really want the experience to be very intimate. We want it to be a moving experience for couples that attend. And so this weekend intensive is limited to 13 couples currently.
And we screen everyone before that. So if you are considering coming on a weekend, please go to the website and book a time to meet with us so we can make sure it's a good fit for you and for us.
And so on to the topic of your feelings and how other people are not responsible for your feelings. You know, we have emotions.
Which are subconscious.
And we have emotions for a reason. They are letting us know that we need to take notice of what is happening, whether it be a positive emotion, whether it be a negative emotion. I like to use the example of lights on a dashboard. It lets you know that something is happening. It doesn't interpret it. That's up to you.
And, you know, lights on a dashboard is a good analogy because sometimes the light goes on and it's something like you had an oil change and you didn't update your system, so I'm still on, you know. Or it can say, hey, there's a big problem going on, but you really don't know until you do some more research. And emotions are the way your body has been trained to respond to stimuli in the environment. And they are yours. And you may have had previous experiences that, you know, some things you're going to respond to emotionally different than someone else. But it doesn't always mean that thing's happening right now. It's just something similar is happening right now.
And so if you have an emotion and you have a thought about that emotion, that translates to feelings.
Yes.
And I think that in society today, we've seen this happen and evolve over time. We've gotten to this point where we feel like if someone makes us feel a certain way, that they are responsible for that. They have created it. And we see this happen in relationships all the time, right? Where people are getting offended by their partner and they now hold their partner responsible for feeling a certain way.
So that's actually a natural thing that human beings do when we're children. You know, if you've ever been around like a 5-year-old that you're at a party and the 5-year-old trips over a toy and they are shocked and embarrassed and possibly hurt, and they'll just sort of be stunned for a second, and then they'll find their mom or dad and they'll go over to them and then they'll say, "Why did you put that toy there?" And the parent sitting there like, "I was sitting over here. I didn't do anything." But the child's reaction is to blame, to find something to blame, something to get that off of them, that feeling of shame, that feeling of embarrassment, to get that off of them and onto someone else. And as a parent, you don't take that personally, and you help your child soothe them, help them calm down, and that's about it. The problem is that part of us stays with us.
And we carried it into our primary relationships.
Mm-hmm.
And so when we feel a negative emotion or a negative feeling, then we tend to blame our partner for it. You know, these negative emotions are uncomfortable. We are going to experience them. It is inevitable in every relationship that there's conflict, that there is some type of, disagreement or obstacle, and that's not going to be a comfortable thing to go through. And so when you experience that emotion, you tend to blame your partner for it, that it's their fault that you are feeling a certain way. And this is a very natural thing that happens, but many times couples can get locked into that, and they just get into this blame stalemate.
I always like to say, if your partner had the remote control for your feelings, wouldn't they set it to happy? Would they really set it to you being angry or resentful all the time if they had that kind of control? And interestingly, the way our brains are designed is that what fires together wires together. And so whatever happened in your life that might have wired together, when you have that experience now, you're going to feel the same emotions. You're going to feel the same feelings. You're going to think the same thoughts. And you get stuck in this program that has been around for a long time, but you actually can change that. And Joe Dispenza does a lot of work on this, where he says, you have to start rehearsing the future. So it's possible not only to stop having that reactive emotion to something that bothers you, but you can also get in control of choosing what you feel by learning to rewire your brain through rehearsing.
I think another thing that most people don't or are not aware of, and something that we've talked about in previous podcasts, and that is that we bring our emotional wounds, our past emotional wounds, into our relationship. That is just inevitable. That's what happens when we get into a committed partnership. And as that relationship develops, as we invest more into that relationship, that's when those past wounds start to come to the surface. And your partner may say something or may do something that is going to bring up a similar feeling or a feeling that you used to have when you had those emotional wounds. And all of a sudden, you are feeling all of this pain from the past, and you are attributing that to your partner, that they are the one causing it, when really all they're doing is stirring the pot, inadvertently. A lot of times it's not,
It's
intentional.
like hugging someone with sunburn.
Yes. Okay. That's a good example. Like you don't know that person has sunburn. You go to give them a hug and you are causing them pain, and it's not intentional, but it is bringing that pain out. And it would be equivalent to that person with sunburn blaming the person giving them a hug for their sunburn.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Which is completely ridiculous. I mean, we know.
Yes.
I
get sunburned pretty easily.
You get sunburned by the moon, Jean. Yeah.
It's true. Yeah.
Yeah.
So sometimes we have those emotions and we wake up like that and we don't know why.
You might have like a bad dream or something like that, and you wake up just feeling a certain way.
And you really feel like your partner did something.
Right.
And logically, you know, you were dreaming about something and you're reacting as though it was real, and your partner wasn't even involved at all. And this is a really good example of why it's not anyone else's fault. Because in that situation, nobody was there but you. And what do you do with that feeling? And a lot of times we don't know what to do with it. So we can be crabby all day or be mean to our partner until we have another dream. Maybe it makes us happy. But I really like, you know, if you get stuck in your head and you keep thinking those thoughts and you keep producing the brain chemistry that goes with that, that produces an emotion in your body that makes you feel a certain way and think the same thoughts, and you get stuck in that loop, try talking it out. It's really hard to get out of that all by yourself. And so as long as you're taking responsibility, because what people mostly do is just pick a fight with their partner, I think. Instead, they might be able to say, hey, something's really bothering me and I don't know why, and I just want to talk it through. Can you listen to me for a few minutes?
Yeah, you don't have to know why.
Mm-mm.
You don't have to be able to explain it. You could just share it. And in that way, your partner becomes a witness to whatever it is that you're experiencing. You know, you may have a memory that comes up, you know, from the past. You may, you know, as you said, wake up from a dream and have a certain feeling that you have. It's not something to just push away.
No.
Right? And I think that's what a lot of people do, is that they just kind of bury it or try to explain it away. And the problem is that emotions and feelings, they start to affect us physiologically. You know, as we have the emotion, as we add thought to that, and now we have feelings, now our body is responding.
It physically hurts.
Physically,
Yeah.
right.
Mm-hmm.
And so your, you know, heart rate is elevated, your blood pressure is elevated. So now you're having a full body experience.
You feel it in the pit of your stomach or in your chest.
Sure. And, you know, in the example of a dream, you wake up and your body is already feeling all of that. You're experiencing all of it.
I remember you waking up like that and you're mad at me for something in your dream. And I remember feeling really helpless and sad, you know, because if I did do something, I could apologize or make it right. But I didn't do anything, but you had those feelings and I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't know how to help you with that. It was a really powerless feeling. It's like I could say, oh, I'll not do that again, but I wasn't there.
It's easy to see that when it comes to a dream, because it didn't happen. It just happened in your dream, right? Your subconscious. But it becomes so much more complicated when you're just going about your day to day with your partner, and they say something, they do something that brings up this feeling for you. And most often, it's a very old feeling. It's something that you brought into the relationship. And a lot of times people aren't aware of it.
And for sure, your partner knows exactly how to push that button. It's part of the relationship dance. And it's part of how we heal, because we get wounded through relationship and we heal through relationship if we learn how to do that. And that's what we teach in Couple to Couple. So if you think about the way we're designed, if there was a lion chasing you, your brain and body would respond. It would dump adrenaline and cortisol. Adrenaline so you could run away. Cortisol to shut everything down that's not needed so you could channel all that energy into running away. And then when you look around and there's nothing chasing you anymore, it's like, oh, I'm safe. And we stop producing those chemicals. But when the wound is emotional, when the threat or the potential threat risk is emotional, There's never anything that says, I'm safe. And your body will continue to act like it isn't safe until you do something. You have to do something to disrupt that pattern of the thoughts and the feelings and the emotions and that circular thing that you're stuck in. And that's why you can't possibly process a problem when you're upset. That's why communication breaks down.
Well, your brain is designed to seek out threats
Mm-hmm.
and to be constantly scanning the environment for threats. And when we're talking about an emotional threat, this is something that is not tangible, right? It's not something that's very defined. And so because of that, your brain is just going to constantly, superimpose different scenarios to look out for a similar emotional threat. And you're going to constantly be on guard. And couples who are constantly locked into conflict in their relationship, their cortisol levels are through the roof. They are always on guard with each other. They're always looking for, the sarcastic remark or, something that their partner's saying, in a passive aggressive way, and they're just always on edge.
Yeah. It's a really very sad and uncomfortable way to be in the world. And actually, women have it worse. Women have to be preemptive in threats even before anything possibly happens. So women can have a lot of negative emotion even when nothing's happened in anticipation of so many things that could possibly happen. And so it's really important to ask yourself some questions like, am I about to fall off a cliff? Is there a bear chasing me? Am I going to starve to death or am I going to freeze to death? And if the answer is no, then you can tell yourself you're safe. It might sound weird to tell yourself that, but you're actually talking to your subconscious mind who's in this moment perceiving a threat, which is creating anxiety in you and making your blood pressure go up and making you have tunnel vision and tunnel hearing. And nothing's even happened yet. And that's the hard part. You can't get down to why am I reacting like this? And sort of like you almost have to go to a place of meditation where you're calming your breathing down so that your brain can get disengaged from that fight or flight response so you can actually have a conversation or think through it in a different way and change your perspective.
Yeah, guys are a lot better at turning it off.
Yeah.
That's just how our brain is wired. And so when we're focused, we're focused. But if we want to turn it off, we can. And so we're not constantly scanning for threats, and we're not always on edge. And I think that's why they use that phrase, keep your head on a swivel, in the military, keep your head on a swivel and just, always be looking, because if you don't, you can really go into that, what do they call that? Highway hypnosis kind of thing, where you can go just tune out and not be aware of any potential threats.
Yeah. So if you're watching TV and you're a guy, you might not notice your kids or something else. It's an interesting thing how that tunnel vision really just happens. And
so is that reminder in the cars today, look out for the child in the
yeah,
back seat. Is that for men? Who's that reminder for?
I don't know. I don't know if it's one or both. I don't know if there's any statistics on that. But that is why most couples come in to get help, because the woman notices the problem much sooner than the guy. Even though he feels it, he doesn't want to necessarily do something about it or know what to do about it.
Well, I think most often what guys do is they try to take responsibility for how their partner is feeling. Try to fix it. Try to do something to change how they feel.
Very dangerous.
It it will backfire 100%
It for sure
of
will
the time.
backfire. And usually you'll do something that actually bothers them more.
Right.
And it's really their responsibility. Like, you know what they need. You can ask. You can be concerned and you can ask, but you can't take responsibility because it's something in them that they have to figure out what they need in order to feel different.
If you take responsibility, you actually lose the opportunity to learn and to grow and to be partners in it together.
That's why traditional marriage counseling doesn't work very well, because they want to problem solve. And problem solving doesn't work because there's not a problem, right? There's a wound. And they don't really teach them how to heal that wound. And so they can say, oh, it really bothers me that you come home late. Okay, so make sure you come home on time, or make sure you communicate if you're going to be late. Great.
It's easy. It's
Great.
an easy fix, right?
Although it's just not the problem.
No.
The problem is maybe the parents, the dad came home late and he was having an affair and then wound up being divorced. And so it's the thing that's triggering the emotion, but that thing isn't really the problem. It's the connection to it. It's the pairing, that's the wound. And that's why doing this work and learning how to heal each other is really incredible. But you'll never get there if you try taking responsibility for someone else's feelings.
That's for sure. That's for sure. And even though it seems like the easier route, right, the logical route, and guys often are looking for the logical route in relationships, which doesn't exist, by the way. It does not exist. You know, relationships are emotional. And so most often when we feel an emotion, there is no logic to it. We just feel. We just feel something. And our job in being in a relationship with, you know, a committed partner is to share that experience with each other.
Just go hang around with a 4-year-old for a while. You'll see how illogical emotions are. It's so fun to watch kids because they're just pretty open with their emotions, and then we get locked down, don't know how to deal with it. So yeah, let's get logical. That's an easier way to live, except it just doesn't work.
Well, it's funny to watch grown-ups in relationships act like little kids, having their own temper tantrums with each other. It's incredibly funny, but it happens all the time,
Yep.
right? We are just big kids in our relationships.
And then especially it's mostly the guys are like, I don't feel anything. I feel fine. And that's because the way their brains are designed, and all you got to do is, you know, help them switch over to the other side by closing their eyes, and all of a sudden they get quite a bit of emotion in there.
I thought everything was okay.
Well, I just thought you were crabby.
Yeah. I don't understand where all this emotion is coming from. Maybe you should just calm down. That
Are you getting your monthlies?
said
That's a good
every
one.
husband before they were murdered.
That's funny. Yeah. So, you know, it's automatic to look around and want to blame someone when you have an intense emotional reaction to something. But take some time and calm yourself down and explore, why does this really bother you? And that'll get you back on the right path of figuring out what to do with it and how to heal it.
So we want to thank you for joining us today on Couple Synergy. Our passion is in helping couples and people have happy and healthy relationships. And this podcast gives us a fun way of bringing our knowledge and expertise to you, our listeners. For all of you listening, please let us know how you enjoyed the show. If you have any questions, comments, or topic suggestions, please email us at contact@couplesynergy.com. For more information about Couple Synergy and our programs such as the home study course Relationship 101, the Couples Weekend Intensive, as we mentioned, coming up April 20th to 23rd, and our premier coaching program called Couple to Couple, look us up online at couplesynergy.com.
And if you know someone who could benefit from this episode, please download it and share it. And thank you for listening.
Until next time, synergize your life and synergize your love.
You have been listening to Couple Synergy with Dr. Ray and Jean Ketkodian. Couple Synergy was recorded, edited, and produced by Dr. Ray and Jean Kedkodian. Voiceover and music entitled Breathe and Let Go was recorded and composed by Gina Gonzalez.